Is Fergie really finally clearing off?
President Trump weighed in on the whole Andrew scandal overnight.
So damaging about this email is that it actually highlights the cynicism in which she's approached this.
She must have run out of people. She did run out of people because that's why she was tapping up Epstein all the time.
A swift number of charities that came forward very quickly in a short amount of time to distance themselves from Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York.
Ex-wife and fellow resident Sarah Ferguson pours out her heart to staff at a secret bar called the Doghouse.
People close to Sarah Ferguson are genuinely worried about her current frame of mind. Tonight, Royal Lodge is not just a house anymore. It's become a headline, a symbol, and perhaps a prison. Sources inside Windsor say Sarah Ferguson, the once vivacious Duchess of York, is spending her nights alone, glass in hand, behind the closed doors of her private bar, known only to staff as the Doghouse. Those close to her describe a woman teetering on the edge, tearful, restless, and increasingly paranoid that she's being watched by unseen forces. And as King Charles's eviction order looms for the coming spring, the former Duchess's fragile calm appears to be collapsing faster than the crumbling walls of her royal past. For nearly 3 decades, Royal Lodge has been her sanctuary, a sprawling 30-room estate once filled with laughter, family dinners, and the comforting illusion of belonging to something bigger than herself. But insiders now call it a haunted palace, where 2 people live side by side, divided by silence and scandal. Andrew, stripped of titles and dignity, paces the halls like a man endlessly rehearsing old grievances against the family who abandoned him.
He's living in disgrace. He was stripped of his royal duties, and part of that is he's not really being paid by the monarchy anymore because he doesn't complete any royal duty.
And there's the worry about security, that apparently she's very, very paranoid at the moment, and she thinks she'll be targeted, or maybe Andrew will be.
The reports are that King Charles has vowed to protect Beatrice and Eugenie.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really sting.
What's happened with Andrew losing his title and now her losing Duchess of York, it just proves that the York brand is totally toxic.
Sarah, meanwhile, has retreated deep into her mounting fears. A long-serving aide confided bluntly, "She doesn't trust anyone anymore. Every noise at night makes her jump. She says she can feel eyes on her even when she's completely alone. Her so-called refuge, the Doghouse, sits tucked behind a side entrance to the lodge. It's there, in the dim light of that private bar, that she pours herself another drink and talks for hours to whoever will listen, often staff members who stay out of pity rather than duty." One insider described the scene without sugarcoating. She's unraveling. Some nights she's angry, others she's terrified, but mostly she just seems utterly lost. This is not the Fergie who once stole headlines in the 1980s with her red hair, loud laugh, and untamable energy. This is a woman cornered by circumstance and haunted by ghosts of the past. Behind her carefully curated smiles on Instagram and charity appearances lies a mounting panic about money, reputation, and personal safety. According to one close friend, she truly believes she and Andrew are being actively targeted. She's convinced there are dark forces out there who want to silence her, or worse, the friend revealed.
This is the worst look Fergie has ever had.
Andrew Windsor is spending his last weeks at Royal Lodge ranting to himself.
Fergie people are actually worried about. I think her mental health is really at a low ebb.
There is a no-holds-barred, warts-and-all tell-all story waiting to be shared with the world.
The affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre time.
Ever-evolving soap opera, that is, of course, what's happening over at Royal Lodge.
The phrase dark forces isn't new in royal circles, and its reappearance carries chilling historical weight. Princess Diana used that exact language in her final years, warning of invisible pressures closing in around her. And now, decades later, that same ominous language echoes through Windsor once again. As the king pushes ahead with royal downsizing, the message to the Yorks is crystal clear. Their time at Royal Lodge is coming to a definitive end. Andrew is expected to relocate to a smaller residence at Sandringham, his final concession to a monarchy that no longer has room for scandal or embarrassment. But Sarah's future is considerably less certain. There's talk she might seek refuge abroad, perhaps in Dubai or the United States, but her growing paranoia about security makes even the thought of leaving England unbearable. She keeps saying, "I won't be safe out there," a source revealed. She's frightened something could happen if she goes too far from the royal circle. Those close to the couple describe the atmosphere inside the lodge as genuinely claustrophobic. They dine together occasionally, awkward and emotional meals where old resentments resurface without resolution. Conversations often spiral into tears or long, uncomfortable silences. Staff have learned to avoid the dining room when the two are together. The tension is unreal, another insider admitted. You can almost hear the clock ticking down to their final days here. And yet, beneath the chaos, there's a strange dependency binding them together. They have no real friends left in royal or social circles. Their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, remain polite but noticeably distant, reportedly frustrated by their parents' stubborn refusal to move forward.
They shouldn't pay for the sins of the parents, clearly, but I wouldn't expect them to have any front and centre row. Don't expect to see them on the palace.
Several charities have cut ties with Sarah Ferguson. This is because of an email she reportedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, calling him a supreme friend.
She believes there are dark forces out there. It's really got echoes of the Princess Diana era.
Fergie's Epstein lies exposed in bombshell email.
King Charles is battling with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to convince the Yorks to move out of the royal lodge.
The girls worry, says one royal commentator. They're angry, but they also know their mother's not in a good place mentally. Royal Lodge has always been more than an address or a piece of property. It's a statement, a symbol of quiet privilege. For decades, it represented a corner of Windsor where scandal could be softened by the smell of polished oak and manicured lawns. But those perfectly maintained lawns now hide mounting tension. What was once the residence of the beloved Queen Mother has transformed into the setting for a slow-motion royal eviction playing out before the world. According to palace aides, King Charles has been patient, perhaps too patient by some assessments, but the decision is now final and non-negotiable. By the spring of next year, the Duke and Duchess of York must be gone. Inside sources confirm that the order came directly from the top, a move wrapped in the language of financial efficiency, but clearly motivated by a desire to draw a definitive line under the Andrew era. It's about optics as much as money, one courtier told reporters. The monarchy cannot modernize while the ghosts of scandal still live rent-free in Windsor. Andrew has been offered a smaller property on the Sandringham estate, described diplomatically as modest but sufficient. Behind closed doors, however, the Duke is said to be absolutely furious, complaining that he's being exiled within his own family. He has reportedly pleaded with the king for more time, citing the logistical nightmare of downsizing from a 30-room mansion to a 5-bedroom cottage. But for Sarah Ferguson, the problem is existential rather than logistical. There is no Sandringham safety net waiting for her. She's terrified, a family friend told reporters. For the first time in her life, she doesn't know where she'll go. The idea of leaving the royal bubble scares her to death. Those around Fergie describe her as oscillating between determination and despair. Some days she talks enthusiastically about reinvention, pitching charity projects or book deals to old contacts in London and New York. On other days, she speaks of escape, fantasizing about starting anew in Dubai, a place she once called her second home. Yet the idea of living abroad terrifies her as much as it tempts her. She keeps asking about security, an acquaintance said. She worries she'll be followed, that someone might try to harm her or Andrew.
President Trump weighed in on the whole Andrew scandal overnight.
King Charles is very keen to move Andrew and his ex-wife Fergie on. He doesn't want them to live there anymore.
The layers of duplicity and shallowness, this is a new low. She's hoping some sort of generous benefactor will take her in, but the thing is, that's been happening now for 30 years.
I've read that Charles will somewhat try and ring-fence Beatrice and Eugenie as his nieces.
I've got to say the King and Queen may be in Rome, but they just can't escape the ongoing scandals surrounding Prince Andrew, can they?
She talks about dark forces like they're real people lurking just beyond the gate. Her friends dismiss it as anxiety, but within the palace, those words strike an eerie chord. The late Princess Diana once used that same phrase when describing unseen powers working to isolate her. Now Fergie is echoing that same fear. "It's haunting," noted one royal commentator. "Every time she mentions dark forces, people remember what Diana said in 1997 and how that ended." Adding to the anxiety are whispers of severe financial strain. Fergie's most recent children's book series has reportedly been pulled from shelves, leaving her without a stable income stream. The Mayfair property she once bought as an investment was sold at a significant loss. Insiders hint that she's been reaching out quietly to wealthy friends in the Gulf, hoping for a soft landing and financial support. But the phone calls aren't being returned. "She's burned through too many favors," one source admitted bluntly. "There's only so many times you can call in a debt from 30 years ago." Sarah Ferguson's growing obsession with unseen enemies has turned from private worry into public whisper. Friends say she no longer speaks of the future in practical terms, only in warnings. "She's convinced something terrible is coming," one confidant revealed. She keeps comparing herself to Diana, saying history has a way of repeating itself when women in the royal family become inconvenient. Whether this is fear justified by real threats or fear invented by isolation and stress, one thing is absolutely certain. Sarah Ferguson is living her own royal thriller inside Royal Lodge. And in Windsor, where history repeats itself with unnerving precision, no one dares to say the ending out loud. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.